Let me tell you about a truly wild idea from ancient China. What if music, math, and the entire universe were all connected by a single hidden code? It's an incredible story that involves burying pipes in the ground, some magical sounding ash, and a mathematical puzzle that, believe it or not, still shapes the music we listen to today. Okay, so let's just start with a question that sounds completely impossible. What if you could actually hear the moment winter turns to spring? I mean, not just feel it, but literally listen to it happen. For ancient Chinese scholars, this wasn't just a cool thought experiment. It was a serious scientific and philosophical mission. It all comes down to this one guiding principle called Lu Lu Dao Yang. The core idea is that the universe itself has a rhythm, a kind of cosmic hum, and they believe that if you could just get your music tuned perfectly, it would literally resonate with the changing of the seasons. The big question, of course, was how on earth do you capture a sound like that? Well, the answer, they thought, was hidden inside a set of 12 super precisely tuned pitch pipes. But here's the thing. Each pipe wasn't just a musical note. Nope. Each one was also a month, a season, a specific tick on the giant celestial clock. So check this out. They created this direct map. The main pipe, the big one, Huangzhong, lines up perfectly with the winter solstice and the note we call C. Then you have Tai Chu, which matches the start of spring, and the note D. This wasn't just a way to keep track of the year, it was a musical score for the cosmos itself. And this is where it gets really amazing. Those 12 semitones that make up an octave on any piano, that's the exact same division of sound they were using to map out the entire year. It's like they believed the harmony of the universe was, quite literally, a chromatic scale. Okay, but that begs a huge question, right? It's one thing to say, hey, this note is this month, but how did they claim they could actually prove it? How could they possibly know that the note C was the true sound of the winter solstice? Well, this leads us to one of the most bizarre and brilliant experiments you've ever heard of. They called it the Ho Ki Fa, which basically means the method of waiting for the qi. The theory went that at the exact moment a new season started, a special kind of cosmic energy, the qi, would rise up from the earth, and they built a device they believed could catch it. So picture this. They bury these 12 pipes in a sealed chamber. When the winter solstice arrives, the Huangzhong pipe, and only that pipe, is supposed to have its ash mysteriously blown out by the Earth's energy, making a low humming sound. It was this incredible attempt to make the invisible breath of the universe visible and audible. What a story, right? It sounds like the ultimate proof of this grand unity between heaven and humanity. But from a modern scientific point of view, it seems, well, impossible. And it turns out even people hundreds of years ago had their doubts. In fact, this brilliant Ming Dynasty prince and scientist, Zhu Ziyu, who, by the way, invented the math for modern tuning, he actually tried to replicate the experiment. And his conclusion? He basically said, look, this is a beautiful metaphor, but it's not real physics. So, if the secret wasn't some magical energy from the Earth, what was it? Well, the real genius behind this whole system wasn't about physics or some kind of mystical energy. It was all about pure, elegant mathematics. The real harmony wasn't in the ground. It was hiding in the numbers. The method was called Sanfen Sunyi, which you can translate as the method of thirds. And it's this incredibly simple algorithm that lets you generate the exact length for every single one of those 12 pipes, and all you need is one single starting number. And that starting number was 81. They chose it for the main pipe, Huangzhong. In their numerology, 9 was the number of ultimate cosmic energy, or yang, and 9 times 9 is 81. So this number was like the seed, and from it, the entire musical universe was going to grow. The process itself was ridiculously simple. You start with 81. To find the length of the next pipe, you just subtract a third, which is the same as multiplying by 2/3. So that gives you 54, the length for the pipe Lin Zheng. Musically, that's a perfect fifth up from the starting note. Now, from that new number, 54, you just do the opposite. You add a third or multiply by 4/3. And boom, you get 72, which is the length for the pipe taiku. And they just kept doing this back and forth. Subtract a third, add a third, subtract a third. And by following this simple pattern, they could mathematically generate the lengths for all 12 pipes. It was a perfect, self-contained little universe of numbers. Well, it was almost perfect. This beautiful mathematical machine had one tiny but incredibly frustrating imperfection that drove musicians and mathematicians crazy for centuries. See, after you do the calculation 12 times, when you get to what should be the 13th note, the octave of your starting note, the math doesn't bring you back home to a perfect 81. It lands just a tiny bit sharp. This little error was famously known as Huangzhong cannot be restored. The circle just wouldn't close. And this is the fundamental challenge in all of music tuning. The ancient system, using these beautiful, pure fractions, makes individual notes sound amazing together, but the whole scale drifts off key. Modern music kind of cheats. It uses an irrational number, the 12th root of 2, to force the circle to close perfectly, even if it means the individual intervals aren't quite as pure. And that brings us right back to today. On the left is the modern formula that tunes every piano, and on the right you can see how the values compare. The math that allows a modern piano to play in any key without sounding weird is the exact same solution to that ancient puzzle of why Wangjang cannot be restored. So you might be wondering, why all this effort? I mean, why did they care so much that the music, the math, and the calendar all lined up perfectly? Because in their worldview, getting that first note right was the key to creating a stable and harmonious society.
This is the part that just blows my mind. The actual physical length of that first pipe, huangchang, became the official standard unit of measurement. The amount of grain you could fit inside it became the standard for weight. To have harmony in the empire, you needed standards. And all of those standards flowed from a single cosmically tuned musical note.
So in the end, this whole incredible system, from the ash blowing to the elegant math, it was never just about making nice music. It was this profound statement of belief that everything in the universe, from the movement of the planets to the length of a ruler, was all part of one grand, understandable, and deeply musical pattern. Learning about this ancient quest for harmony really makes you look at the world a little differently, doesn't it? It makes you wonder, what other invisible connections, what other mathematical codes are woven into our modern world, just waiting for us to stop and listen closely enough to finally hear them?